The House of Mouse gets caught in a trap of its own making. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth, and a lengthy one from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. It's so lengthy, in fact, that I'm going to have to break it into two parts. In this first part, we're going to review the history of the Walt Disney Company, including part of its history I have not shared before, that now becomes relevant. Then in the second part, we'll talk about the events of this year and why the Reedy Creek Improvement District is now on a self-destruct countdown. First, I want to shout out to the sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views, link in the description. Be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down to the bottom for that link. Lots of good merchandise there, including this t-shirt. Can you read it? Rhino hunting. And I want to remind you, I am a published author. Look for two new books, Matthew's Run and Matthew's War. Available right now at Amazon and Barnes & Noble, to name two. They tell the story of what our country and our world might look like after 380-odd years of wokeness, and about a cyborg with a conscience who also just doesn't like to be used, leading a rebellion against it. And soon you'll be able to buy those books right in our store. All right, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, not boys and girls this time. Today I have to treat a sensitive subject in a mature and forthright, though hopefully not racy, manner. Now, I've covered before the beginnings of what became the Walt Disney Company. It began with two brothers creating memorable cartoon and comic book characters. The company has since exploded into theme parks, motion picture studios, and television. But I must now reveal some more history from the 60s. Walt Disney planned more than winsome characters, his Anaheim theme park, and his animated and live-action movies. He also planned to build an entire city that would prove concepts of futuristic living. He called it Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow, EPCOT for short. At first he thought of taking over the site of the 1964 New York World's Fair. Disney also considered sites in New Jersey, the Washington, D.C. area, St. Louis, even Palm Beach. Finally, the company settled on Central Florida, and that's when they bought all that land in Orange and Osceola counties and proposed the Reedy Creek Improvement District. That district was never supposed to exist merely for theme parks. The Walt Disney Company planned to build a city in which no one would own anything, but everyone would have a job, and the city would govern itself without regard to any authorities in Orange or Osceola counties. To lobby then Governor Hayden Burns, Disney produced a short film, the EPCOT Film. Worth noting, incidentally, is that Arthur C. Clarke featured the original EPCOT concept in his novel 2010 Odyssey 2. But this futuristic city would never happen. Walt Disney died even before Burns' successor Charles Kirk signed the Reedy Creek Improvement Act into law. With no living person to advocate as effectively for it, the city concept died within 2 years. And for more than 10 years after that, Walt Disney World consisted only of the Magic Kingdom Park and several themed hotels and at least one residential hotel facility, Disney Village. Eventually, Epcot did come into being, but not as a city. Instead, the Epcot Center opened as just another theme park, but more like a continuing World's Fair. It consists of Future World, with pavilions dedicated to a wide variety of technological visions, including sea, land, energy, and medicine, and the World Showcase, with no fewer than 9 national pavilions featuring history and even food from each country. I visited Epcot in 1993, and at the time it looked to me like a theme park for adults. Not racy, but genuinely educational. In fact, it was a continuous mini World's Fair. But before the century ended, Disney had to rip out all the Future World pavilions and start over, because everything in them was now present day. The AT&T Geosphere Pavilion ended with a mock-up of astronauts repairing a communication satellite in orbit. The very time I saw that, NASA ran a space shuttle mission with astronauts repairing the Hubble Space Telescope in orbit. So because Future World was now present world, Disney had to project everything further into the future. All this to show that the Walt Disney Company still cared about entertainment and projecting visions of a hopeful future. But I must tell you that I found something off at EPCOT and even at the Magic Kingdom. Why did the AT&T Pavilion throw in a hint that Christian monks were lazy compared to Arabs when it came to preserving Roman historical works? The ride through the geosphere featured an Arab hard at work and a Christian monk sawing logs at his desk. Whew! Whiskey Tango Foxtrot! And why was the United States Pavilion at the World Showcase not as patriotic as it might have been? Why, in the evening music and light show, did they introduce it with George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue? Not true. That piece has become nearly iconic in American popular music. It's better than most of the noise that passes in music these days, I'll tell you that. But every other pavilion featured patriotic music for its country. So you'd expect the United States Pavilion to feature, well, maybe not the Star-Spangled Banner, but why not America the Beautiful? Instead, we get Rhapsody in Blue. Again, just a little off. Which means that Disney might have been going a little woke before woke became a passive participle in American English. Some even say Walt Disney himself felt that way. That Epcot City was a planned community and sounds a lot like Klaus Schwab's Great Reset, in fact. But Disney knew at least to keep it subtle. Then Bob Iger came and threw subtlety to the winds. Bob Iger, by all accounts, salted Disney's creative, management, and executive teams with openly woke players. After that, the woke direction of Disney became anything but subtle. During the Bob Iger era, Disney bought Lucasfilm and hired Kathleen Kennedy to run it and turn Star Wars into something it never was. Kennedy's thesis wasn't queer theory, but it was intersectional feminism. The Force is female, she declared, and planned all along to remake the Force into a galactic mother goddess. Understand that, and you will understand everything else she did at Lucasfilm. As everyone who follows entertainment knows, she produced a total of 5 films for the Star Wars franchise. One of them, Rogue One, did well. It blended seamlessly into the original film and told a great story of the rebel spies who stole the Death Star plans. But you knew something was wrong when all of the great heroes were heroines. The rest, quite simply, went into the tank. Solo, about the young Han Solo, most people totally forget. But the Disney sequel trilogy had people canceling out the whole franchise. The Disney board took notice. So they brought in Bob Chapek with a mission at least to make Disney politically neutral again. That didn't go over very well, not only with Kathleen Kennedy, but with all the other Bob Iger woke bullies. They started looking for a way to strike back, and they got it. When we come back for the second part, I'm going to tell you all about that. Links in the description of the article and to a whole lot of video and text resources, including the original EPCOT film. I'll have the link to the second part as soon as it becomes available. And be sure to follow the links to Conservative News and Views and to the CNAV Store. And if you like what you've heard, you can like this video and subscribe to this channel. This is Terry A. Hurlbut bringing you another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free. Stand by, everyone. Go back to the channel for part 2.